Mangwana ni Mwalelepo, Vukenjani, Klekwas, Wanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Betty and Diana Master. How are you, Dana?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic.
Actually, I'm lying. I'm not doing too well.
What's wrong?
I think it's year-end fatigue.
Year-end fatigue. Oh, yes.
It's also the rainy season.
Yeah, what's wrong with the rain? This is Africa.
No. The rain is beautiful.
Oh, okay.
But it's not so beautiful for me because then
sinuses
and yeah.
But you look wonderful.
Thank you.
You know, in spite of the inconsistent weather, you do look like autumn. And that's got to count for something.
It definitely does.
Right.
You cannot look like your problems.
No, never that.
Let's get into what you can expect in today's broadcast. South Africa rescues children in major anti-trafficking operation. MPs want more benefits for war vets. And Tanzania flood landslide. Death toll rises to over 50. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break and return with our top stories.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 115.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Getting into our top stories, South African authorities have intercepted dozens of buses transporting 443 children, all under the age of 8, into the country from neighboring Zimbabwe. This follows a sting operation conducted by the South African Border Management Authority and the police at the Beitbridge border post on Saturday night. BMA Commissioner Michael Masiapato said over 40 buses conveying the children were stopped at the north gate of the busy border post with Zimbabwe before they entered South Africa. He said although the children had passports, they were traveling without parents, guardians, and permission letters as regulations require. The bus drivers claimed the children were going to play sport, but the report said that they were sent by their Zimbabwean grandparents to their parents in South Africa. The children were being trafficked, Masiapato said, adding that they contacted officials in Zimbabwe.
Getting into our next story, government should allocate 20% of dividends from natural resources to the War Veterans Fund for their development and sustainability, a parliamentary committee has recommended. This recommendation is included in the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs, Defence and Security's report titled Report on the Benchmarking Visit to its Portfolio Counterpart Committee of the Parliament of Zimbabwe. Excuse me. The committee is chaired by Swapa Party backbencher Levi Katoma. The government should allocate 20% shares from all natural resource dividends to the War Veterans Fund for the development and sustainability of war veterans, the report states. The committee also proposed the establishment of a Veterans Investment Corporation to grow veterans' assets.
Now, the death toll from floods and landslides in northern Tanzania following torrential rains over the weekend has risen to more than 50, with 750 acres of farmland destroyed. The president's office said on Monday. Now, Zuhura Yunus, spokesperson for President Samia Suluhu Hassan's office, said in a statement that the landslides and floods had affected 1,150 households or 5,600 people. Severe flooding caused by El Nino and the Indian Ocean dipole weather phenomena has killed hundreds of people in Kenya, Somalia, and Ethiopia and forced hundreds of thousands from their homes since seasonal rains began in October.
Moving over to getting into our next story in Mozambique, all marine vessels plying off the Mozambican coast will soon be required to carry an automatic location device so that maritime authorities can identify their position in the event of accidents. The device in question, to be installed on all types of vessels, will not only allow the location of boats, but also facilitate the issuing of alerts to vessels setting sail in the event of change in the weather. According to Noticias, the decision was made by the National Institute of the Sea and conveyed by the chairman of the board of directors, Isaias Montlane, during an institutional technical council in Marakwene, Maputo province on Friday, the 1st of December. The measure is also justified by the increasing number of maritime accidents and incidents along the Mozambican coast. For example, in the first half of this year alone, 143 maritime accidents and reports were reported, resulting in more than 1,000 deaths and 27 persons missing. Of the incidents, the highlight goes to drownings with 57 cases, followed by wrecks with more than 50 occurrences.
And several African governments are defending their decision to send large delegations to COP28 climate conference in Dubai amid widespread criticism. The UN's attendance list revealed that Nigeria, Morocco, Kenya, Tanzania, Ghana, and Uganda were among the countries that sent the biggest teams. Nigeria sent 1,411 people, followed by Morocco with 823 and Kenya with 765. Representatives of Nigeria and Kenya on Sunday said that many of the delegates on their lists were not publicly funded, as they were representing the media, civil society organizations, and private institutions. Both countries also say that some of the listed delegates are participating remotely. As the biggest country in Africa, the biggest economy, and one with the biggest stake in climate action as a country with a huge extractive economy, it is a no-brainer that delegates from Nigeria will be more than any other African country, a statement by an advisor of Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu said. And I understand the Namibian government was also under fire, and the NAM presidency did issue a media statement doing their best to clarify or at least explain their position with regards to the selection of delegates in Namibia. Not so much about the numbers, but more about the individuals and their capacity going to it. And we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that story. Stay with us as we look to talk to Mike Sichula in Zambia after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
All right, we're going to try to talk to Mike Sichula. We had a little bit of some connectivity issues earlier, but we hope that's rectified. Mike, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Good morning.
All right, so a little bit of delay there. So Mike, I'll just ask
Good
that you go
morning.
straight through all your stories. All right, it would seem that we can't cross over to Mike Sichula at the moment. We'll take a
At
short...
least 16 people who are yet.
We'll take a short break.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraitha. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
We do apologize for the technical difficulties we experienced earlier with Mr. Mike Sichula. Nevertheless, we move on. The head of community policing in the Irongo region, Inspector Ileni Shapumba, said that in as much as the police are ready to intensify on-ground patrols to ensure public safety, it is also upon members of the public to act responsibly and exercise caution at all times, especially during the festive season. Let's take a look at this video.
But we are saying the police will not be able to achieve better prevention of crime without the assistance of the public. And this is where we need the public themselves to be vigilant, to be on alert, to take action immediately when we see any suspicious movement, any suspicious person in your locality, and you report that person immediately to the police, to the local police, so that we can take appropriate actions. Over the years, we have noticed some sort of criminal activities that are picking up, especially during the festive seasons. We need to remind the public to look after their properties, to look after themselves, and also to report anybody that you see in your surrounding. We have seen already a spike in terms of road accidents. Last week, or over the weekend, we lost 2 people on the road, where it's even suspected that people were overtaking at a double barrier line at a zone that is a 60-kilometer zone. And the speed, is being suspected that what was one of the contributing factor in that regard. We need to remind ourselves to say, when you are using the road, you are not the only person that is on the road, and you should respect other road users, you should respect yourself, and above all, you should respect the rules of the road, just so that we can avoid some of these issues and to make sure that everybody celebrate the festive season and the Christmas in a joyous mood. We have seen also a spike in terms of crimes of stock theft and related crimes in areas such as Ochimbingwe, or Machete, or Kombahe. And we have even learned through investigations that some of the people, the suspects, are using, dangerous articles such as pangas to attack those that are looking after animals. Let us warn the members of the public, let us warn the farmers to be on alert, let us warn those that are looking after animals really to collaborate even among themselves, a group of 2, 3, 4, so that we can fight these particular crimes that is robbing people of their economic properties. Lastly, perhaps I have to take this chance really to thank every members of the public, every stakeholders, every organizations that assisted the Namibian Police Force in discharging their duties in one way or another. We were not able to achieve much without the support of our public, and this is why the regional commander organized an event of this nature to appreciate and thank the public, and thank our community leaders, and thank our business fraternities for the support that they've been rendering to the police throughout the year. We will be giving some sort of certificate of appreciation to those individuals that have assisted the police in one way or another. We want to assure them and assure those that want to visit the towns of within the Rongo region that we are going to double our efforts, redouble our effort, and keep the boots on the ground to ensure that the safety of the inhabitants and everybody that finds himself within the boundaries of the Rongo region is guaranteed, and we are calling upon everybody to do their part. Responsibility is what we call upon everyone to do. Exercise a sense of responsibility, even if we arm ourselves, even if we put ourselves on the ground and patrol day and night. But if those that are supposed to be protected lack a sense of responsibility, to act responsibly, to make sure that we don't commit crime, to make sure that we report those that are committing crime or suspected to be committing crimes, then we will not be able to achieve our objectives. But we are going to coexist with one another in mutual respect. We are going to put up roadblocks. We are going to intensify our patrols. We want to see people enjoying themselves at the beach when we go there. If you can't swim, don't swim. Don't use alcohol, then we go to the beach and swim, because experience have given us or taught us that there are some people that have lost their life, during this time of the year. In as much as water can be enjoyable, in as much as closer to the water can be fun, it can also cause a sort of sad news if we don't exercise responsibility during that time. Thank you very much.
to another exciting episode of Irongo Talk. We bring jou lees weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik kan byt.
Let's get into our economic news stories. Namib Desert Diamonds, the Namibian government's diamond marketing and sales company, last sold diamonds to its customers in September this year. The company also bought its 15% of Namibia Diamond Trading Company's diamonds, to which it is entitled, last September. Namibia is not immune to the challenges the diamond industry is currently facing and is also experiencing the ongoing decline in auction prices throughout most of 2023. The trend is not limited to Namibia. Similar large trading companies are also struggling with adverse market conditions, forcing them to either sell at discounted prices or suspend sales altogether, explained Namibia's Executive Officer for Market Development, Sales and Brand, Leli Usiku. She says the prices of polished diamonds are falling while the prices of rough diamonds remain high, which causes a gap in the prices. Meanwhile, polished diamond inventories remain consistently high.
In our next story, for nearly 3 decades, the chaotic, overcrowded Owino second-hand market in Uganda's capital has been the cornerstone of Hadija Nakimuli's life, helping the widowed shopkeeper build a house and raise 12 children. But a potential government ban on the sale of used clothing threatens to sever this crucial lifeline for Nakimuli and tens of thousands of vendors like her. Established in 1971, the sprawling market employs some 80,000 people, 70% of them women, according to Kampala city authorities. This trade should not be tampered with. Everyone benefits, including the government, which gets taxes. One trader, a father of 4, told AFP, every day hundreds of customers squeeze through the narrow alleys, separating the makeshift wooden stalls, eager to grab a bargain. Here, a second-hand Pierre Cardin blazer goes for 40,000 Ugandan shillings, a fraction of the price of a new one. Although there are no official figures available, the Uganda dealers in the Used Clothing and Shoes Association estimates that 16 million people, 1 in 3 Ugandans, wear used clothing.
All right, those have been our economic news stories. Let's head to the indicators just before the sport.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with soccer news first. It is a FA Cup time that continues. It was a draw that was made for the third round of the FA Cup, that is in the British soccer leagues, and it is a big matchup going to be on the 6th of January between Arsenal and Liverpool. They're currently the number 1 and 2 team on the English Premier League, Arsenal being first on that log and Liverpool second, and they've been drawn to play in the third round on the 6th of January. That's unfortunate for them to play so early against each other, but that's reality of the draw of the FA Cup, and that game will be played at Arsenal. Also, other games, it will be Sunderland that will host Newcastle, one that I can mention, but also the important one is the defending champion, that is Manchester City. Manchester City will host Huddersfield in the third round. That's also on the 6th of January. And in the 2022-2023 final that was played early in the year, it was Manchester City winning against Manchester United. The score there was 2-1. And Manchester United, they have a away game against Wigan that will also be on the 6th of January. That is third round FA Cup coming in the new year. Moving on to golf news, and it's two golf players from the Live Golf Breakaway League that won on tournaments outside of the Live Golf competition. There's currently no Live Golf tournaments. They were allowed to play in the South African Open and the Australian Open, so a great result for South African. That is Dean Burmeister. He won the South African Open at the Blair Athol golf course close to Johannesburg, and it was also Joachim Niemann. He had won the Australian Open, and it was both of them that got good points on the world rankings. It is for them important because there's no world ranking points playing at the Live Golf Initiative at the moment. Joachim Niemann, he moves up to number 59 in the world from number 82nd, and it is Dean Burmeister that moved up to number 77 in the world. That was up from 106 in the world before the SA Open tournament. Many of the Live Golf players have fallen way down on the golf world rankings because they don't earn any points. The best placed player at the moment is Brooks Koepka of the United States. He's 17th on the world rankings, mostly because he won the US PGA. And then Cameron Smith is down to number 23 at the moment in the world. He was at the end of 2022, he was number 3 in the world rankings. With Southern African interest, it is Louis Oosthuizen. That was a former world number 4, but he's currently number 441st in the world rankings. That was also playing 2 seasons of Live Golf. And concluding today's international sports news with cricket news, it is India that will tour South Africa in December and up till early in January. And it was Cricket South Africa that announced the teams for the T20 and the one day, the 50 over one days, and also the test series against India. Big news from that announcement is that Themba Bavuma, the current 50 over captain and the T20 captain, he will not play in those 2 formats against India. And it is also Kagiso Rabada, the opening bowler for South Africa, that also not feature in the white ball cricket. He will also not play in the T20s and also the 50 over internationals. Cricket South Africa gave the reasons that there's going to be emphasis on the test cricket, and they want Themba Bavuma and Kagiso Rabada to be fresh for 2 test matches that will be early in 2024 against India. Actually, the first one will be late in 2023. So the series will start on the 10th of December in Durban. That's the first of 3 T20 internationals against India, and then followed by 3 50 over ODIs and then 2 test matches, finishing with a test match that starts the 7th or the 3rd of January at Newlands in Cape Town. The captain for the T20 and the 50 over internationals for South Africa will be Aiden Markram, who also captained South Africa in the 50 over World Cup on some of the games that Themba Bavuma was not available because of injury. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Namibians are still safe.
Everywhere else, the Supreme Court said we are not going to rely on foreign judgments.
By all means, we try to not make journalists public figures, but at the end of the day, they are.
Very good evening. My name is Tebo Njebela, your host.
With their Protestant offsprings.
But the implementation, like she's saying, is another thing.
You're still watching Africa Good Morning. For those of you that are just joining us, let's take a look at the highlights. South Africa rescues children in major anti-trafficking operation. MPs want more benefits for war veterans. Tanzania flood landslide death toll rises to over 50.
All right, those have been our stories. Thank you for joining us. DSTV2 at 5, Core TV 25, 1up2.com, all Namibia Media Holding social media pages, especially NTV, is where you can find us from. Diana Master and Ashwin Berry, Swera Zakanaga.